Welcome to Obsidian for tabletop RPGs. Let's learn how to use the tool. Alright, g'day guys and welcome back today to another Obsidian video. Today we're going to be diving down a controversial rabbit hole, and that rabbit hole is artificial intelligence. Obviously there's some heated conversations happening around the TTRPG realms about the use of AI, but it is a tool and it's pretty damn useful, so we're going to be having a bit of a play with it today. Now, for anyone who's a dungeon master, you would be aware that random tables are something we live and breathe by, right? For years we've used random tables to generate random results and make our game a bit more chaotic and fun. Okay, so the problem with that is that you need to maintain these tables, and in Obsidian.md we've tried a number of different ways. There's the fantasy content generator plugin. There's inline scripts that creates random results, and there's some real variety of options out there, and some of them are really fantastic. Like I love inline scripts; it's really powerful, but it is very complex. And for people who don't know JavaScript, they can be rather sort of nervous diving into that rabbit hole because it's quite challenging and hard for them to get their head around. So let me show you an alternative. I'm going to press Control U and bring up this new menu that I've got. This menu is coming from the text generator plugin, which is an AI plugin. And you can see here that I've made some various different things. And these are all of the different sort of templates that I've created. So I'm just going to generate a store. Alright, so I click that. We can see it's processing up here on the right. You can see this little indicator here that says I'm doing something. And what's actually happening right now is it's sending a template that I've created to ChatGPT and returning a result. And what a magnificent result it is. So welcome to the Fantasia Emporium, specializes in selling magical items, potions and artifacts. The store owner's name is Morgana the Magnificent. She's a tall, elegant woman with long black hair and piercing green eyes, known for her vast knowledge of magical items and her ability to create powerful potions. These are the things that are currently for sale in her shop. Alright. How fantastic is that? All right, that is fantastic. That is brilliant. We just got that without even having to think. We can delete that. We can trigger something else. All right, let's go through and generate a dungeon room, for example. This will go through. You can see it processing. You can see the little dots. It's going through. It's sending a template over to ChatGPT, and it's going to return us a random result. Here we go. Alright, so we're cautiously creeping deeper into the dungeon, the tunnel opening into a dark room. The air is thick with a musty smell of whetstone and mould. There's the sound of dripping water. Alright, so we can actually see here it comes and gives us a full description of what's about to happen. There's an ambush. It generates the actual encounter block for that, so you can trigger it off. And it's even got a warning down here and a call-out box for the Dungeon Master to say, hey, there's a secret about this. So as you approach the altar, you notice several pressure plates hidden in the floor around it. You suspect that if they're triggered, something dangerous could happen, perhaps activating some kind of trap. So, you can probably put your own trap in there. But, wow, right? Like, I didn't write any of that. That's just completely randomized and has been returned by ChatGPT. So, how do we do this? Let's jump in and find out. Alright, so if you haven't watched my previous video on the text generator plugin, you're going to have to go through the installation process. Okay, so what we do is we go down to settings, we come here to community plugins, we make sure restricted mode is turned off, otherwise you can't install plugins. We go to browse and we do a search for text generator. Text generator comes up. We can see this one here is by Nuruddin Harui. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. We've got a link to the repository here. We've got some, it's got a pretty basic README, and it's got a video here showing you what it can do. Alright, so we go through, we click install. Once it's installed, we click enable, and with this one, it's very important that we go into the options. Alright, now in the options, the first thing you need to do with this is actually set up your API key. Now, what this means is you're going to need a profile or an account with OpenAI. Alright, now I'm just bringing up mine here, so you can go to the platform to openai.com. You're going to need to create an account, and you can see here that I've got a section here under API keys. Now, I have a paid account with these guys, and you do need to have a paid account with them in order to use this. If you're just signing up for the first time, you do get some bonus sort of use tokens is what they call them, and you can go through and set that up. But obviously go through and set this up. There is a usage here, all right, and I do want to call out that I think it's under manage account. You can actually set a daily limit for this. Here it is, usage limits. So here, under billing and overview, go into usage limits. You can actually set a hard limit of how much you can be charged per month. Please, please, please set this up, guys, like just in case. Especially if you're playing with other AI plugins, the approved usage limit usually defaults to $120 a month. Okay, so if you don't set this up, you don't set your hard limit, then potentially you're going to get a bit of a shock when you obviously get that bill. So set this up. You can see here that my current usage, and I did a lot of this last night, is only 13 cents. So I'm doing well, but I did play with some other plugins last month and I did hit my $30 in about an hour. So obviously go through and do that. Once you've set your payment and your account up, obviously you're going to go here to API keys. I'm not going to show you my keys because they obviously are very secret. All right, so I have my own API keys here. And basically you create a secret key, you give it a name, you copy it, and you're going to use the code or the API key in the next step. So copy that, head back to Obsidian, paste it in here, okay? And then we're basically ready to start setting up the actual configuration in this tool. Now, there are a few different models here. Now, there's obviously GPT 3.5 Turbo is the one that I'm using. This is cheaper, all right? So it's one of the first initiations of the ChatGPT model. There is GPT-4, which is the new one. This is more expensive to use and you've got to be on an enabled list. So I'm not using that one yet. We're using the ChatGPT 3.5. You can use Text DaVinci though if you want. You can play with all those. I just find the best results come from GPT 3.5. If you're missing any of these, you can actually click the update models and you can get access to a whole heap of other models as well if you want to play with those. But GPT 3.5 is the one that I'm recommending currently. Now, just to speak to some of the things that I've done. Max tokens, I've tweaked this. I found it was probably, I can't remember what the default was, like 400, 500 maybe. Maybe even 250, but it was too low, so I've increased this. So I've gone up to 650. I found that seems to be about the right limit. If I go much higher, I seem to get errors, so I'm sitting around the 650 mark. Temperature, I've changed to 0.8 from 0.7. And the reason why I've done that is I want my generators to be a bit more random. All right, so I've gone ahead and done that. I've left everything sort of there as blanks. Now, this is going to be important for this. So prompts, templates, paths. All right, so text generator / prompts. I have that folder over in my world, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now, there's some considered content here. So start blocks, include title. You can go through, obviously click that. You can, if you want to include the front matter, you can click to include front matter. If you want to include the headings, you click include headings. So I've got those two enabled. You can also, if you've got links to children and mentions and highlights and extracts, right, you can do those other things there as well. There is a PDF extractor, a web page extractor. I'm not using any of this, don't worry about it. You can leave it on or off, up to you. Auto suggest is pretty cool. I'll show you that in a minute. All right, but I've left that enabled. The trigger is space for that. That's why you can't see anything there. And here we've got generate text with metadata. This is all about the options that are available in the menu that you see. Pretty much what we're doing is we're inserting text from template is the one we're after, but we don't actually need these options. We're going to find a different way to do it. What I did do is I enabled these calculate tokens and calculate tokens for template, and I ticked those. And what that does is that enables an option inside of my menu system that I can use that kind of gives me an idea of how much my template is going to cost, and that's quite handy. All right, so we've gone ahead, we've enabled it, we've got the API. We want to test it, right? So I'm just going to delete this note. The players run through a dark forest, and I'm going to type this, I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to press Ctrl-J, which is the default hotkey for triggering text generator from memory. And what that does is it sends the highlighted text back to ChatGPT. This is the standard functionality that I first found initially inside of this. And you can see it's now returned. It's got a whole section of extra stuff, and you can see it's continued my sentence and it's written something around it. So ChatGPT is working, or sorry, text generator is working, which is what we're after. What we can also do is do things like this, and this is the auto recommend. So just a heads up, you can press space. It's processing. It's going to give me 5 options. All right, so the players were eagerly waiting for the coach's instructions, were nervous as they stepped on the field, the players stepping on the field. All right, so you can tell that they don't know that it's for a fantasy TTRPG game currently, but that's the idea, right? You just press space and it gives you recommendations. Now, keep in mind that every time you're using this, it is costing you money, all right, but it's usually a very small amount. All right, but we have the plugin installed. We've confirmed that it's working. Now it's time to jump in and find out how to use it with templates, because that is super powerful. All right, so how do we set up templates with the text generator plugin? All right, so what we do is I'll just minimize that so we can see everything. We have a look over here on the left-hand menu, and what we're looking for is there's 2 actual menus that you can use in here, all right, for to generate text, or text generator. So text generator, templates, package manager. Now this is pretty cool. This is where you can come, and this is where I learnt on how to install these things. So you can actually come in and you can click these and click install, click them, click install, click them, click install. All right, you can see there's some DALL-E 2 prompts. For anyone who doesn't know, DALL-E 2 is the image generator by OpenAI, so you can absolutely generate AI art with this as well. I'm not going to cover that in this video. I haven't found a way to make it work the way I want just yet. I want to do everything in like one foul swoop, but I'm educating myself on that. We've got some default prompts. I recommend you probably do go ahead and install those if you want to have a bit of a play and learn on how they do it. That's how obviously I figured out how to do my stuff today. There's another AI service called Hugging Face. For these ones you do need to have a Hugging Face account, so just a heads up that if you don't know what that is or don't have it, there's no need to install that at this time. But go through and install it. And what that did is it actually generated this folder for text generator and then prompts. And then from there it actually created other folders and put everything in there. Now, I will say this. I installed mine and then manually deleted them. Don't do that. Alright, that seems to break things because I can't uninstall these now and I can't reinstall them. So just a heads up on that. But anyway, what I've done is I've gone through and created some fantasy generator templates, all right? Now I've just got them in this prompts folder. I've put them in their own subfolder just so that, we know what's going on. And let's just go through and have a look. I think the in was one of the first ones that I made. We'll go into edit mode so you can see the front matter as well. All right, because the front matter is setting some of the details up. Now, what we have here is a prompt ID, a name, a description, an author, some tags, and a version number. This is the cool thing I found, is this name section. If I press Control U, which is the hotkey to trigger these templates, you can see that the name is not from the name of the file, it's actually coming from this name section. So generate in is there, I've got a beer emoji, and then I've got a bed emoji. So you can install emojis just by pressing the Windows key period button or full stop, and you can add emojis into your notes. You can do that with any Obsidian note. It's just really cool that it works in this element here. So yeah, that's the front matter, and that's just some prompt information. It's basically setting this up as a template. And then we come down here and we say, all right, we're going to create a template. And I'm going to be the first to put my hand up here and say, I'm not completely sure I understand all the syntax of these templates yet. There seems to be some pretty cool things that you can do. I'm just scratching the surface of this at this point. But what I've done is I've got a prompt in name. And prompt is basically saying to ChatGPT, I'm going to prompt you, I want you to return something, and we give you some text and we want a prompt back. Okay, so I'm saying, give me the in name. And then I'm saying, give me the in description. All right, then I want the innkeeper name. Provide a description of that innkeeper here. Then I'm going to put in a menu, and I'm saying prompt, give me 2 signature drinks that are sold at this inn, list them as a markdown table and include the name, cost, and description. All right, so I'm just using basic English to say, I want you to make me a table, I want you to include these options, and off you go. I do the same thing for meals. We've got some patrons, so give me 5 people who are currently in this inn currently. Names should be in markdown bold. And then rumors, prompt me with one interesting conversation the party might overhear. Now, the question is, does this work? So let's come here, we'll open up our random note, we'll go edit mode, Control U to trigger it, come down here and we're going to do the fantasy in, let it do its thing. It does take a little bit of time, alright, but if you're obviously at a game, you know you're heading into an in, so as soon as you know you're heading towards an in Obsidian, go over to a note, trigger it, let it start processing in the background while you're still having the party sort of chat. It's not long, like it's less than a minute, but it's enough. There's a bit of a delay, so you probably want to make sure that you're doing this ahead of time or doing it, predicting when you're going to need it and making sure that it's done. All right, here we go. So we've got the rusty anchor in. All right, it's a cozy seaside establishment on the rocky shores of the bay. It tells me about the interior. You can hear the sounds of what's going on, so that's really cool. Tells me about the innkeeper. It's Captain Jack Sparrow's cousin, Captain Morgan Sparrow. Okay, so one of the problems with AI is that it's reading the internet, and some things are talked about more than others, and Captain Jack Sparrow probably is talked about a lot. So whatever. Then we've got some Kraken's Blood and Mermaid's Tear that's been sold. Right, it's got a nice price there and description. Remembering that I asked it to give me that. It's giving me a meal with some prices that I can charge my players. I love that. I hate shopping in my games. I hate thinking about prices of things, so that's good. And we've got some people that are now eating or drinking in the inn, and we've got a rumour that heads off to something. Okay, so that's super easy. That's super cool. All right, so that template that I made works. All right, there's nothing technical about it. I just wrote, can you please give me this? I put the prompts in. I don't know if I'm doing too many prompts. Maybe I am. It just seems to do what it needs to do. It's fantastic. Let's have a look at the encounter one, because I thought this one's pretty cool. Okay, so prompt encounter name. All right, we've got this section here as well, which is just a sort of update with the name and all that sort of stuff. But here we've got an encounter name. Prompt, please generate a random encounter for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for a party of 5 level 5 players. Alright, that's where my players are currently. The theme of the encounter should be appropriate to the context. See this section here? And what that means is that I'm actually going to highlight some text when I run this macro, and it's going to consider that when it runs it and gives me back the results. Then I come in here and I had to give it some instructions, and I've kind of trained this, right? I ran it a few times and I saw how it reacted, and so I added more things. And what I've done is said the encounter should be listed in the exact format provided below if there is an encounter in the room, all right? Because I found that if I didn't put that if there's an encounter in the room, sometimes it would just leave the stat block the way it was in the original template. Remove and or change the monsters used if appropriate. I did that because one time it added one monster and left the goblin and the orc in there. Always write the monster's name as a singular monster. Alright, plurals are not supported by the initiative tracker plugin. The reason why I did that is it started saying I want 3 goblins. Alright, it was adding in the S itself. And I said, well, no, I don't want you to do that. Just say 3 goblin. Alright, do not include the plurals. The monster name must match exactly what is listed in the monster manual or rules. Alright, because it was doing some shady stuff. It's like seaside goblin and beach orc and stuff like that, right? Or male orc or outraged orc. It was like getting really sort of descriptive, so I had to tell it to not do that. Alright, please do exactly what I'm asking you, just use the name. And then I said the encounter block should be at the bottom with all the descriptive text above it, and that's because it was kind of like mixing it in with other stuff, alright, and it was kind of screwing that up. So I've gone through, we've told it exactly how we want it to work, and now when we come in here we can actually do this. So the party sneak through the land of lollipops, and I'm going to highlight that, press Ctrl U and go generate encounter. Alright, you can see it's now processing, so it's going to send my template and the text, which is the context that I've highlighted, and it's going to send that over and off it goes. Let's see what it does. Alright, so we've now got an encounter. I haven't found a way to make it put a break line here and yet. I'd really like to do that because that would be cool. Sweet Tooth Siege, so they're sneaking through the land of lollipops and candy canes. They come across a small cottage made entirely out of gingerbread and candy. Everything starts to stench and decay. They hear a large crouch. Peering through the windows, they see a group of goblins and orcs. And there's the big Ottio as well. Alright, but it's actually, like, I kind of like here, it's actually giving you options to escalate this fight, to bring in an extra monster, so that's cool as well. And yeah, like, how cool is that? You can give this a theme just by writing a simple bit of text, pressing Ctrl U, and boom, you get this entire sort of customized random encounter. Now, I have done this just last night with a whole heap of things. Okay, so created an adventure job board. Who doesn't need those? When you go shopping, we need an apothecary shop to buy potions. We need armory to buy armor. We've got a store just to buy general stuff. We've got magic shop to buy magic items. We've got weaponry. Alright, but then I've got generate dungeon room, generate encounter. I played around with generating some fungus just for fun. You're searching the body. What do you find? Alright, let's do a pocket search. Generate a job board so you can have something happen. I even had this generate adventure, I think it was. Generate job board, yeah, generate adventure. So generate adventure I thought was pretty cool. Let's go through, Control U, generate adventure. This is just designed to give me back a prompt that says something interesting just happened and here's an adventure that might come off of it. Alright, so you're at the table, you run out of ideas, you can hit this one up. So as the players enter the bustling town square, they notice a large wooden board with various sheets of paper pinned to it. They realise it's a job board filled with opportunities for adventure. Boom, off they go. It's got an option of adventures. Alright, so I've written these so that they can give you some various different things that you're going to use in your game. Alright, and they're quite easy. For anyone asking if they're system agnostic, yes, right. You can ask this stuff to do anything. So we had generated Magic 8-Ball results, so we had generated vehicle. I think they're from one of the GURP systems or something. PvE games. Here it is, the Mythic GM emulator. Can we roll a Magic 8-Ball? And you know what? Yes. Yes, we can. Alright, so you could do this for Pathfinder. You could do this for Shadowrun. You could do this for any RPG you want, assuming that ChatGPT has had the opportunity to obviously go out and learn about the game that you're playing on the internet. So it's going to work better, in my opinion, for really popular systems. Alright, so 5th edition and Pathfinder 2, they're going to work really well. Alright, I think Pathfinder 2 will probably work better than D&D, simply because it's like they legally allow everyone to use their mechanics, right? So all the mechanics are on the web, freely able to be used. I think that will work really well. But yeah, as long as your ChatGPT knows about your game system, you can literally just say, hey, can you do this for me? And it will. And I guess what I really, really like is just the ability to define these templates, make them look how I like. Okay, I'll click through a few of these. And it just kind of works. What can I say? Like, it just works. It's fantastic. I had some people come back and say, oh, but we want to have like localized stuff in case the internet goes down. Yep, sure, have a backup, but this is game changing. You don't need to have your big massive list of stuff that you need to add to over the years, and if you buy a new big book you've got to add all the options in. Like, I actually got one of these working so you could actually bring in Kobold Press stuff, right? So have a look at this. The items should come from the list of items in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Please include at least 2 items from Kobold Press through the OGL. Here's a link to where you can find them. Alright, and you know what happens when I run that? Exactly what you would think. Let the armory run. It goes off and it brings me back some Kobold Press stuff. The only annoying thing about that is I don't have Kobold Press stuff in my notes, so the automatic note linking that I've set up isn't working because I need to add those notes in. So it's going to add some more work for me. But, you know, if the players decide to buy one of these magic items, I would go ahead and obviously add that to my vault, and, you know, that's cool. You might as well expand on things, so. Anyway, oh, here we go. So I've even got the sources coming in, so you can see which items come from KP and which ones come from the player handbook. Alright, the ones that come from the player handbook are obviously working really well for me because I have them in my notes already. Some of the naming's a little bit off, I just need to work on that. But yeah, anyway guys, this has been how to use text generator templates. Now, what I'm going to do is release these templates. I'll put them up on my Patreon post so that everyone can download them. I'll add them to my Patreon vault so my Patreons can get access to them directly. And yeah, if you've created anything else that you would like to share, please do reach out and let us know. Like, come into the Discord, share them, and you know, let's create a massive big repository of these things, because this is so easy. Like, I made all these last night in the span of a couple of hours. Alright. And through all my testing, it cost me 12 cents, by the way. Alright, so keeping in mind this is costing you. You can actually find out how much it's going to cost you. Alright, so if I come into this general store, come in here and actually trigger the open command palette, you can type in text generator. Alright, and you can see estimate tokens for a template, estimate tokens for a current document. So I'm going to go for the current document. It opens up this and it says, based on this is probably going to cost you 0.002 cents, alright, to send this across. So it's very, very cheap. It's not really a concern. Just as a reminder, if you can't see that option in your settings, then it means you need to go back into the configuration and enable that option. That's why that's not there. But yeah, anyway, this has been Text Generator. Hopefully that has spiked your interest in what AI can potentially do for your vault. I'm certainly excited because it means I don't need to go chasing down fantasy generators anymore. Alright, if I want a shop, I'm just going to write a quick template up for a shop, and boom, I have a quick shop. It might not get it right every single time, but it's going to save me a whole heap of time in the long run and allow me to speed up my shopping experiences in my game, and therefore get back to the part that I enjoy, which is the actual adventures and the combat and the fighting and all the role-playing that goes in behind that. So yeah, fantastic outcome. If you would like to share any templates you do make, please do feel free to jump into Discord. Just a quick word on the Discord. Historically, I have obviously had a Patreon Discord. That Discord got too big and it made me uncomfortable with how many people were in there enjoying that experience, but the fact that it was behind a paywall, I did not like. So we have opened that up. We now have the entire Obsidian TTRPG community sort of Discord channel that is open and available to all. We have quite a few people in here. When you drop in, just a quick reminder though to jump into the self-service role section and just come in here and click these buttons to give you the roles that you're interested in. If you are interested in AI, we have the AI enthusiast section here. You can click this button and that will actually enable some of these AI channels down here for you to enjoy. Alright, and there's channels in here for Midjourney where you can actually trigger AI images, and then there's other sections where you can sort of go through and have a chat with Chatbot GPT, or just talk about AI stuff if you want, and obviously share everything that you're doing in there. So yeah, it's certainly turning into a massive community, lots and lots of help coming out of the community and lots of ideas. There's some crazy stuff going on. But anyway, outside of that, I want to say a massive huge thanks to my Patreons. Absolutely loving your support, guys, and you know, just really looking forward to seeing what you guys can do with text generator plugins or text generator templates moving forward. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Have a great day, and I will speak to you on the socials.